Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and this is the situation report or the SITREP for the summary for the day of 860 to 861 for the 2nd to the 3rd of July 2024. For the Ukraine war or the special military operation in Ukraine, if you are Russian, although even the Russians say that it's a war, despite it's a special military operation, they betrayed themselves. Anyway, we got to we have I already published two frontline changes report prior to this situation report over the past 2 days, and there is still more frontline changes. And again, everything is red. So there is frontline changes over at Voshod, Yekhanivka, Sonitsky Kozachok, which I should cover first, and then Pivnishny. So yeah, let me move the so these four different places. So we're gonna start off with the one in the north, over in the Kharkiv front, over at the Sonitsky Kozachok region. Previously, we have reports of this area to be under attack by some alleged no sabotage troops. So apparently this is no longer the case. It seems like the Russian forces have basically largely captured the entire settlement. It's not declared as captured by Deep State UA, as even though they reported and mapped it this way. It looks pretty captured to me, as captured as it can be. So whatever it is, the Russian forces have taken this ground or this settlement around here. And this is significant because this is basically far away from the other front line in the Kharkiv offensive, in the Lipsy sector and the Voschan sector, Staritsia, and Nekushne sector. This is literally in a totally different front line or totally different sector, very, very far away from the rest of the front line. We're talking about a distance of over 40 kilometers. So from the closest battlefront. So it looks like the Russians are trying to stretch the Ukrainians further, and this is extremely difficult to reach. It's not it's a very inconvenient place to send troops to. So maybe that's the purpose. So the next frontline change after this Sonitsky Kozachok is over at Pivnishny, over at this New York front. So at the Pivnishny, so over at the this Thorax region, at the Shumi, previously in the previous frontline changes report, we have reported that the Russian forces have basically have presence basically in the high-rise zone in Pivnishny in the south or north of Zalizny. So and the Russians have claimed most of the Shumi region, as they claim to have taken this entire Dacha region around Shumi. Based on the latest mapping by Deep State UA, the Russian forces have basically taken half of this entire forest as well. So the Russian advance over the past 2 days is actually quite a lot. It's basically the entire region around here. This is the entire Russian advance over in this Shumi, Shumi to Zalizny region. So a lot of grounds being captured by the Russian forces in this area. The next frontline change is over at Voshod. So over at the Dievka front. So the Ukrainian mapping, Deep State UA basically declared Voshod captured by the Russian forces. I'm not sure how they pronounce it in Russian, in Ukrainian or Russian. Voskot, maybe Vosot. I don't know what is X. Anyway, Russian forces basically take the entire mini village or settlement and basically capture even the entire southern flank as well. It looks like the Ukrainians have totally retreated from this area here, just off Sokyu, and so this is the change. There is further change just north of this location. Over in the north of Yekhanivka, Russian forces also expanded their control in this area here, and basically taken all this ground north of Yekhanivka. So this is also a very big amount of capture. North to south is around almost 1.5 kilometers. The biggest depth is around almost 1 kilometer. So that's a lot of grounds being captured. And this development also also means that Yekhanivka is now in a is facing a three-way encirclement from in this side, like three different directions they are being encircled. So it's going to be a pretty hard fight, for the Ukrainians coming up next for them. And so these are all the frontline changes report. These frontline changes are from Deep State UA because the report is late or later, so which is why it's not recorded in the previous frontline changes report. And so we're going to move on into the strategy and tactical reporting. And so the before I move on, just want to note, I have mentioned in the previous the frontline changes report, I'm thinking about changing the format in terms of the where I post the content. So the frontline changes report from now on is going to be on the main channel, and SITREP will continue to be on the War channel. This allows both videos to have more airtime on both sides. So this is just some change to deal with the algorithm and make sure that deep in my coverage of the Ukraine war, I can maximize the revenue that we can get and also grow both channels. So this has some other news also regarding the creation of a new channel, DPA news. I haven't posted anything yet, so that will also help to remove weaker contents from the main channel so that we can continue to post only those very those videos that I know that will do very well in terms of views. So and then make sure that news and geopolitics will be or more covered in the news channel, the current affairs news. So anyway, we're going to continue in the strategy and tactical reporting. And according to the Russian Defense Ministry on the 2nd of July, they say that one MiG-29 and one Sukhoi 27 was shot down by air defense unit. They did not mention where do they shoot it down. However, this comes along the time where we had so many geolocation or instances where Ukrainian aircraft are destroyed on the ground. But particularly this one that was covered in the previous SITREP at the Makhorod Air Base, several Sukhoi 27 were destroyed. And then in this SITREP we have more. Over at Poltava, there's a Mi-24 attack helicopter, the Hind, was destroyed on the ground as well at the air base over at Poltava Air Base. Around here, it was destroyed in the air base at Poltava. And there is also another one that was at Kryvyi Rih. So at the Kryvyi Rih air base around here, this is called the Kotintseve air base. There is a MiG-29 also destroyed by the Iskander long-range missile while it was still parked. And so this seems to be a bit unusual to have consecutive days of Ukrainian aircraft getting destroyed on the ground. I wonder if the Russians have something new in their inventory, not infantry, inventory, that allows them to maybe know where the Ukrainian aircrafts are faster. Could it be drones, surveillance drones? Could it be spies, agents? Because the Ukraine war has dragged on for a bit too long, and there could always be possibility that the Ukrainian population start to be very unhappy, and they start to help the Russians by providing information. For example, if they live near the airbase, they see the airbase, see the aircraft approach the airbase on the landing, then they may inform the Russian military, and then the Russian military will send in a civilian drone, to track to see where exactly is the target, and then they fire a missile, and that could be a possibility. So is that's the only way I can explain how the Russians are able to suddenly able to track all these aircraft. But of course, this is all in different air bases, so maybe there is something more. Maybe the rumors of some kind of insurgency or some kind of partisan actions is starting to grow. I'm not sure, but it's something to take note of. If the next over the next few weeks, the entire Ukrainian air force is largely destroyed in the eastern part of Ukraine, the eastern half of Ukraine, and causing Ukrainian to have air force, massive air force deficiency, then maybe there is indeed some kind of partisan action. If not, there is no reason to believe that previously the Russians can't destroy this aircraft on the ground. Now they can. I think this the ability to suddenly track all these aircraft, is a bit suspicious to me. So anyway, so we move on away from this aircraft issues. We move into Sumy region. At the Sumy region, there is some probably not fighting, but maybe some shelling of Ukrainian forces over at Yunakivka. But it is very close to the border. I'm not sure it's some kind of incursion. It may not be. I saw some of this headline from other channels claiming that there's fighting started in Sumy. I think there's no overstatement. I think it's a bit exaggerating. Could be just clickbaitish. But based on the Russian Defense Ministry, they simply mentioned the location Yunakovka and at Chumakovo as well. I think I forgot to map Chumakovo. Where is Chumakovo? Let me check. This is Russia. Chumakove, Sumy region. Yeah, this is just shouting. This Chumakove is way inside. Is not exactly near the front line. So this is just a shouting. So probably why I didn't map it in. And so this is just probably just shouting report. Not a new front, not the Russians starting a new front over at Sumy. This is not the case. Where they really start a new front is over here in the Kharkiv front at the Sonitsky Kozachok region, as I mentioned previously in the frontline changes report. And this incursion is quite disturbing, I would guess, for the Ukrainians. I don't believe this is a serious push yet, but definitely it's going to be a massive disturbance. It's like having a mosquito in your room. It comes suddenly, you start to have some bumps on your hands and your back and your legs, and then you start to get pissed off. Yeah, there's something about something like this. The mosquito is not going to kill you, but the mosquito is going to give you a really bad time, and you're going to be very disturbed by it for a few hours or perhaps even days if you cannot get rid of it. And this is actually very inconvenient for the Ukrainians to reach as well. If you look, what kind of roads are there? There's just one road, and this one road clearly is going to be shoot out. There's another one going through another place, and but you look at it, there is no clear road to go to this area. It's just going through a lot of country roads. It's going to be very troublesome for the Ukrainians to reach there. And the thing is, for the Ukrainians, they are in this conundrum that they don't react to this kind of thing as well. So because they are afraid of losing more grounds, and and the problem is, like I mentioned in the initial Kharkiv offensive, if they don't defend it, this bubble is going to grow like cancer. It's going to grow like cancer, then it's going to be a big problem. So not too sure what the Ukrainians can do. And while this happening, there is a Ukrainian stronghold getting struck by Russian artillery as well, just nearby. So this is definitely not well for the Ukrainian side. Of course, for the Russians, this is not much better in terms of the roads to reach here also is not very convenient for them, but it looks more inconvenient for the Ukrainians seemingly. So over at the Lipsy sector of the of the Kharkiv front. Okay, let me do a overall first. So the overall, I can't zoom in. Okay, so the Russians are attacking in the Lipsy sector at Nekushny, Staresia, in the Burvaka, I think this is called Burvaka, and at Voschansk region. The Russians are still putting pressure on the Ukrainians, and the Ukrainians just cannot keep the foot off the gas. They have to continue to deal with the Russian incursion over in the Kharkiv region. And over the Lipsy sector, shelling have arrived at Mariupol. Not sure if this is actually an offensive coming over south of Klipoke, because there is a severe lack of news currently of where exactly the front line is right now. The Russians and the Ukrainians keep saying that there's fighting at Lipsy, and however there is a lack of fighting at Klipoke, which is a bit unusual, which could mean that the Russians have already taken advanced position from Klipoke, causing the front line to already move to Lipsi. And if the front line is somewhere around here, it is possible that they attack into Mani Prokodi. So which is why I put the icon in, because that could be a possibility as well. So we just have to continue to wait and see whether if this is the case. And over at Nekoshne, we have also continued pressure and fighting from the Russians up on the 2nd of July. There is a geolocation of a Russian airstrike just at Nekoshne. So, and we'll move on. In the rear position at Pishane, there is a Tunguska anti-aircraft system getting destroyed. Tunguska is a very formidable armored vehicle platform that can destroy small flying targets, even planes, and definitely against helicopters. Somehow, Lancet is probably one of these targets that Tunguskas should be able to deal with, but it got defeated by the Lancet. So in the video footage, the crew abandoned the vehicle. So this is actually quite disturbing, because it seems like the modern day anti-aircraft systems just cannot deal with Lancets. I think this is a serious problem for any country that have adversaries that is Russia, or they are very friendly with Russia, because eventually I think the Russians will start to sell the Lancets to some of these friendly countries. Over at the Staricia sector, Russian forces are fighting in the area of Staricia, and at Buruvaka, there is some interesting news. According to two majors, a pro-Russian source, they say that the Russian forces have expanded the bridgehead and to a depth of 50 meters on the left bank of the Seversky Donets River, which means that the Russians may have already crossed the river over at Buruvaka, and they are expanding control around this area. I'm not exactly sure at this moment, but it looks like they have crossed the Seversky Donets River. And for those that cannot see the river, now you can see the river, right? So there is the Seversky Donets River. Let me use another color. Over here, you can this is the river around here. So the Russian forces crossing the Seversky Donets River, I'm not exactly sure where they crossed it. Is it over here, or is it here? We are not sure. So there is this impossibility that the Russians have penetrated and crossed this river system around here. I'm guessing maybe it's through the bridge towards Prilipka. I think that this makes a lot more sense. And if they cross over at this area here, then they could potentially start a totally new site of fighting. But tentatively, we have no information regarding this situation. So that's all we know. So let's wait and see if we have further information about this. We move into the Voschansk sector. At the Voschansk region, the Russians are now attacking the high-rise building region. This is where they're attacking. Ukrainian forces have sent reinforcement into the northern bank of the Voschansk River to reinforce the fighting around here. According to the information coming from pro-Russian sources, they say that the Russians have taken at least one building in this multi-story buildings region, and they are advancing in the southwestern direction. So I'm not sure. Maybe they are attacking from this area, this direction, and pushing towards this direction. But anyway, Ukrainian forces are reinforcing, so the battle is going to continue. This is going to be a hard fight. Reminds me a lot about Bakhmut. So anyway, that's all from this area. I think that's it from the Kharkiv front. We move into the Kupiansk front. At the Kupiansk front, a lot of icons around here. Okay, so Russian forces are attacking in the area of Sinkivka towards Petropavlivka, in the area of Tinkovka, Zagorokivka, and that's about it in terms of the strategic situation. There is a lot of geolocations around here. There is Ukrainian forces getting hit within the forest of Sinkivka, at the end of Petropavlivka, and there's a various of them around Zagorokivka, over here, here, and here. Particularly this one is the one that caused a frontline change, because previously this was understood to be taken by the Russians. So now the Ukrainians have actually taken it. So this caused the frontline change around here. The Russians are, however, still pushing. They are attacking in this area here, and the Russian forces are also geolocated in the forest just off Sinkivka. So this all these different geolocations clearly show the front line is pretty much correct. So definitely the battle is currently ongoing. There is another one. This one also just some artillery strike just off Terbaivka. Not important. We move on. Over the Svetove front, the Russian forces are attacking in various directions. They are attacking at Stemikivka, over here at I'm not sure what is this, Nadia, as well as over at Makievka. And particularly the Stemikivka and Makievka is pretty concerning. At Stemikivka, the Russian forces have already pushed very close to the settlement itself. We are not sure if the battle is currently inside or still outside of Stemikivka. And at Nadia, this fighting is still around the Serhievka region. There is no indication that the Russians have taken Nadia yet. So the assumption now is under Ukrainian control. Over at Makievka, there is a lot of frontline changes due to clarification of the mapping. So Russian forces are also very similar to the Stemikivka region, basically already starting to enter into Makievka. And the front line currently is looking more detailed right now due to more attention being paid in this direction. So the Russians are pushing in a lot of places around the Nevsky region. So let's wait and see. Let's wait and see whether there is more drama coming out from Makievka. So over at the Crimea front, we are still calling this Crimea front because the battle is actually closer to Crimea for now. Unless there is a real serious push from the Russians towards Liman, then maybe we'll just call it the Liman front. But for now, the Russians are attacking Toske and towards Krychorivka. They shout Krasny Liman or Crispy Lemon or Lemon or Liman. Anyway, that's all from this area here. We move into Sivas front. So over at the Sivas front, Russian forces are still fighting in the area of Sperne, despite that they have claimed capture of Sperne. So according to the information from Raiba, they wrote a very, very long piece about this region, about Sperne. They also say that the statement by the Russian Defense Ministry about the capture of the village is not confirmed through objective footages and sources from the ground. So this is also what I mentioned before. So Raiba cannot corroborate for them. Sperne is not captured. Similar situation for DPA. We cannot put Sperne as captured because there's just no clear evidence and corroboration that that's the case. And given the record of the Russian Defense Ministry, they often claim capture of settlements that is not captured, and that is proven without a fact, without a doubt, that there is actually no captures in certain places that they mentioned that they captured. We move into the northern flank of the Bakhmut front. Russian forces are still attacking Vasyukivka. So this is previously the last report was on the 30th of June. Now there is this resumption of the fighting around here. Let's wait and see. This is a pretty interesting front line. I would love to see more from this area here because it will degenerate into some very chaotic stuff. Over at the central flank, of the Bakhmut front, Russian forces are attacking Kalinina. Russian forces also have huge advancement of the front line around the canal micro district, and they're attacking in the Chasivia direction as well. And the area here now, the canal micro district is fully captured by the Russian forces, based on mapping, geolocation, as well as statement coming from various sources. Russian Defense Ministry announced the capture, corroborated by two majors, corroborated by Deep State UA and Raiba. According to Deep State UA, they say that the entire settlement is now flattened. The soldiers have done their job, done whatever they could, but the Russians eventually still captured it. all the high-rise building is already flattened. Whatever you see here is all flattened. It's totally flat, like flat. Russian forces threw so much bombs at this small little area is ridiculous. Moving into the southern flank, we have nothing at the southern flank of the Bakhmut front. So that's all from the Bakhmut front. We move into the New York front. At the New York front, as you can see, this doesn't look normal anymore. This looked absolutely abnormal. So we start from the northern flank. And then in the northern flank, the Russian forces are still attacking towards Druzhba. They are attacking Pivnishny. They penetrated towards the north of Zalizny and conquered everything southwest of Sumy. So this is the strategic situation. In details, Russian forces have captured a lot of grounds. They have objectively shown by video footage confirmed to have entered the first street of Druzhba, and they have basically when taken most of this entire area. There is still pressure around this area around Pivnishny. The main push currently is just off Zalizny, pushing into the high-rise zone of Pivnishny, in the southern part of Pivnishny, and the entire forest and dacha region southwest of Sumy has been fully taken by the Russian forces. So this is very, very huge amount of changes, and strategically this changed everything. The strategic situation around here has totally changed. So in particularly the Russian forces entering into the buildings is a surprise for everyone that the Russians managed to go into the high-rise building. The Ukrainians started shelling this high-rise zone, so which definitely shows that the Russians are already in this area here. It's unclear if the Ukrainians will willing to go in to clear them out in a counterattack, or will they just abandon the position? Because seemingly the situation here looks very abandonish. The Ukrainians seems to abandon the entire front line pretty readily, and this is going to cause a lot of problems. So there is still some potential good defense lines around here, around this hill. So this is the next defense line. This entire residential area is probably gone case, unless the Ukrainians want to send in troops to go into some heavy urban fighting. If not, this is the next line. So the Russians are going to advance pretty heavily in this area here. And if this line do not hold, oh my god, I'm not even sure what more lines is there behind. There's not much lines behind, So that is pretty serious around here. In the New York region is also pretty serious. There is this very surprising change. Russian forces seems to have captured Yurivka. According to the Ukrainian reports, the Russian forces suddenly is so far up in this area here, basically stormed through all the way the entire south of New York. I'm not sure how is this possible in the short span of time. I wonder if there is the reason was that they have been fighting in this region for weeks already, or the Ukrainians just forgot to defend this area here. Yeah, they just forgot. It happened, suddenly, for no reasons at all, yeah. CDS is back. Whatever. So anyway, New York, this is very bad. The front line around here towards the center of New York. So this is the front line right now, potentially, according to the Deep State UA, the pro-Ukrainian side. So this is Ukrainian information, not Russian disinformation. From the center of New York to this front line is merely 2 kilometers. Suddenly, the Russians are 2 kilometers away from the center of New York. That is unimaginable. I never imagined. One of the most heavily defended line is just collapsed in this way. So this is rather serious situation for the Ukrainians, and the Russians are also pushing at Alexandropol, but clearly this is just a desert. The main cause is here. This is the main cause. So yeah, New York front becoming the most interesting front in the war right now is unimaginable. I used to do New York front reports and nobody want to watch it. People just skip it. Now is the interesting part. amazing. You know how much the world have changed. So over at the northern flank of the Adivka front, Russian forces are pushing towards Vodyzenka right now, because they have already captured Oleksandrivka. They are pushing. They have captured a lot of ground in their progress, moving towards progress and towards Yekhanivka, and they have conquered Voshod in this further progress coming from Sokyu. Uh, the Vokhod is now confirmed capture. And then the Ukrainian mapping Deep State UA have finally acknowledged the Russian capture of Sokyu. Their mapping since the 30th of June already clearly shows Sokyu is captured, but they never announced it until now. So that's the current situation in the northern flank of the Adivka front, and it looks pretty bad. Like seriously, the next fighting is going to be reach progress. We're probably going to see fighting over at Luzovatske. Yeah, and then the Ukrainians will just continue to go down the road and moving all the way towards Pokrov. At this rate, it's going to be quite bad. Over in the central flank, as mentioned, the Russian forces have captured Voskod, and they are attacking the area of Sokyu. They are attacking the area of Novoporovsky towards Novoselivka Persha. And so that's about it around here in the center. The breakthrough is in the north, so I think Novoselivka Persha is not that important right now. And if the breakthrough continues, I think the Ukrainian lines is going to crack. Over in the southern flank, Russian forces are attacking Yasno-Brodivka. Seems to be pretty close already. And they are fighting in the area of Kharkivka as well. So this is an ongoing thing. And let's see whether the Ukrainians can continue to hold the line. Over at Krasnohorivka, major development. The Russian forces have advanced further in the western part of Krasnohorivka, threatening this encirclement, this operational encirclement. So this battle of Krasnohorivka continues to be very, very vital. And half an hour in, and we still got so much more to talk. Everything is important because all the front line is fracturing. The Russians are making a lot of progress. So if you're still here, you're good. Press the like button and award yourself an ice cream. You deserve it. Yeah, you can have your cheat meal if you are a gym guy. I give you permission. So and we move on. The Russians are still putting pressure at Konstantinivka. It doesn't look like they're gonna attack it yet. So that's all from this area. However, over in the Vodian direction, near north of Volodymyrivka, west of Solotke, Russian forces made huge progress around here. A lot of advance in this area here, and this tends to be the case because the Ukrainian lines here has already cracked. And I already mentioned this before, the Ukrainian line towards Vodian has already broken down because the Russians have already overcome the initial line of defense. Whatever is in the rear is pretty weak. The Russians are making good progress, and the news from this area always comes up every few days, which is why every time they report something on here, it's always huge progress for the Russians. So they are now effectively just 3 kilometers away from the highway linking Voleda to Konstantinivka. So this is a very serious situation for the Ukrainians, because once the Russians reach the road, oh my god, they're gonna punch all the way through. They don't even need to capture all these chains of settlement. Yeah, they don't have to deal with all these things. The entire front is gonna go into a big mess. We move on. Over at the Velika Novosilka sector, Russian forces have captured Staromayoske. They have confirmed to have captured Staromayoske with buffer all the way in the north, and capturing everything around here confirmed by geolocation. Russian forces are still attacking Uruzaine, but it looks like the main focus is over at Staromayoske, and they are now pushing towards Makarivka already. So, and in this region here, the Russians use their now pretty famous motorcycle strategy. They have a few guys on a very fast vehicles like motorcycles rush all the way to the enemy trench and just started assaulting the trench. And this kind of surprise attack seems to work pretty well because the scale is so small, and frontline trenches tends to be very, very weakly defended, because these guys will always die. These are just cannon folders, so you don't put the whole squad there. You put 2 guys there, 3 guys there, 4 guys there, and they're just there waiting to die, waiting to get contacted. And yeah, then they get contacted by motorcycles. So that's bad. So never imagine that motorcycles can be used as an assault vehicle. Like, yeah, I always thought that it's a death trap, but apparently no one can sit on their machine guns or their rifles looking at something for 8 hours straight. It's just not humanly possible. So once you get tired, that's when the motorcycles start to come. Yeah, it's pretty sad. Russian forces seems to be attacking in the direction of Rivnopil as well, according to the Russian Defense Ministry on the 3rd of July report, but probably just shelling, because I don't think they are now interested to push in this direction yet. And we move on. That's all from the Donetsk front. Over at the Zaporizhia front, at the Orikhiv sector, Russian forces are attacking at Mala Tomashka in the Novoporovska region, as well as at Nasteryanka. So this continues to be the case. I think largely they are just putting pressure on the Ukrainians to keep them busy, and that's about it. Over at the Zeribyanki, there is some fighting as well. This is the Kayamsky sector. Russian forces are attacking in the Zeribyanki region, and there is a geolocation of FPV drone strike on Ukrainian positions. So Ukraine indeed is very close to Zeribyanki, and it looks like they are under attack. But not. I don't think the attack is very serious. It's probably just to contact them and keep them busy. That's all from the Zaporizhia front. Over at the Kherson front, there is geolocation of Russian airstrike over at Hevrivka or Harry-Livka. So anyway, this hairy place got struck by Russian airstrike, and it's a very, very weird place to attract an airstrike. I just thought this is very interesting that it actually attracted an airstrike in a totally cold front. Over at the Kherson front itself, there is geolocation of airstrike over at Kozatsky. There's an airstrike over there, and over at Tokarivka, Russian forces reported shelling over at this position. And then we have a lot of frontline changes around this river bank just off Kozachi Lahiri. So this is based on the mapping by Deep State UA. Based on the Ukrainian mapping, Russian forces have actually really retaken most of these southern shores of the Dnieper River. So, which means that the entire threat previously, the threatening Kozachi Lahiri has already gone, and the Russians have also retaken all the ground that they have lost over at Poima, Pivshanivka, as well as Pistepny. So Russians have basically retaken everything that the Ukrainian amphibious assault, and of course the attack coming from Pridniprovsky all the way down. Most of this incursion into the southern flank is all gone, retaken by the Russian side. However, there is this weird gray zone around here listed in their mapping. I'm not sure if there's an indication of Ukrainian forces in that location, north of Pipstetny. So we'll just continue to wait and see whether we will ever get some update around here, because this is a very, unloved front. There is however, based on this mapping here, by the Ukrainian mapping, the Ukrainians have this swampy region in the north of the river. There's a smaller river around here, so this basically makes sense. That should be under Ukrainian control. So if I put another one, you probably may see a little bit better. Yeah, not much better. Not much better. Yeah, it's basically this swampy region. Yeah, this swampy region is under Ukrainian control, allegedly under the Ukrainian mapping, and I think there's no reason to doubt that over there, because I don't think the Russians will put troops in the swamp to defend. So that's it. So this is the entire frontline changes, entire situation report, the SITREP for the day of 860 to 861 for the 2nd to the 3rd of July. Very long report because it's for 2 days, and also the Russians seems to be ramping up their offensive operations, and more front lines is appearing. So the more front line means the more the longer the sit rep is going to become, because I don't skip stuff. I just cover everything. So bear with it. Especially if you are able to watch to this point, pat yourself on the back. Good job. And but of course, in the previously when we still have the Kaki front and the Sumi front, Shanghai front, in those days, the sit reps are all 40-50 minutes long, and that's when I don't even talk about other stuff. It's just about the sit rep. That's 40-50 minutes long, because there's just there's too many front lines to cover. So it is what it is. So thank you for watching. Do press the like button, subscribe, which is why this is on the DPA War channel, because only the real commanders will want to listen to long sit reps about the situation on the ground. And for those people who are on the main channel, will just they only care about the frontline changes maybe. So anyway, thank you for watching. Do press the like button, subscribe. See you guys in the next update.